I'm going to work from home. And he's like, what? And I said, I can teach piano. I can open a childcare. There were so many things that I was qualified to do. And I said, I'm literally only bringing home $210 a month by the time taxes, childcare, pantyhose bill, and I mean, just all this stuff. I said, I'm not doing this anymore. And from that point on, our lives changed drastically because I wasn't going to work anymore. It became such a shock to us.
It's so interesting that you would bring that stuff up, because I see it in DFP. When we do the DFP, I see it all the time. Now, not so much in some of the older clients, because they've kind of established a wealth and they've got that. And not that they know what to do with it, because they don't always do. No. Some do, some don't.
Absolutely.
But in my younger clients, we're talking your 20s, your 30s, and even some in your 40s. I mean, interesting you said that, because I just had a conversation with a client literally last week where I was like, why are you working? I mean, it's almost like a counselor position to him, but I'm like, why are you working? Well, went to college, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but do you see that by the time after you're paying for your child in daycare, childcare, you're working just so your child can just be raised by somebody else?
Absolutely.
And they were so shocked because I didn't sit there and say, hey, I think you need to buy this product, this product, this product. We need to refinance your mortgage. We need to do that. I just simply said, okay, from a high level looking at it, before we even get into real planning, tell me why these couple questions. Tell me why you're working.
Yeah.
Well, we have so much debt. But you're not doing anything with the debt.
Not at all, because you're paying the income towards something else that's really not benefiting you.
Right. Honestly, this now, it's not every case. Like you said, you had $210 left over. This case, literally, this one spouse working was just paying childcare.
Wow.
And I was like, why don't you come? And I literally got this look. They looked at each other. I'm like, that's what we've been wanting we've been working to get to that point.
Exactly.
And I'm like, you're there.
Let's reconfigure. Do you know how many times, like, I do things way differently than most lenders do. I don't care just about you buying a house. That's not my only priority. I want to know that your credit is healthy. So I'm looking for auto loans. Why are you paying $900 for an auto loan that your balance is only, and your beginning purchase price is only $20,000 to $24,000? It's because your interest rate is so high. Most people do not know that when they go to shop for an auto, that number one, when they go to a car dealership, their credit is ran a boatload of times.
Shotgunned. We call it shotgun.
Yes, absolutely. It's run a boatload of times. That lowers your score. Basically, they bring forth the best option, not necessarily for the client, because sometimes it's with pre-computed interest. So the financial person behind there is going to look at that and say, where are we making the most money from this as well, too? And so it's like we're looking at this and thinking, wow, well, because people only know what they know, they don't know anything more than maybe what their parents taught them. And sometimes their parents don't even teach them things. So we don't even, it's like we have a society that doesn't know about credit, about finances, about interest rates. And it's unfortunate because and that's literally what this podcast is for, is to educate people and to bring that. So, like when they come to me and I'm looking at their entire credit and I'm saying, can you tell me what the interest rate is on this auto loan that we're paying? Oh, well, 17%. Okay, well, that's the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to refinance that. Well, can I do that because I'm buying a house? Yes, you can do that. You're putting yourself in a much better financial position by doing so. Most times I'll, connect them or, recommend a credit union to them because most credit unions work off something called simple interest. Just like a mortgage, you only pay interest for the time frame that your loan is for. So if you take an auto loan out for 5 years and you're making extra payments and you pay it off in 3, you're only going to pay 3 years worth of interest. Well, those are things that unfortunately people don't know about.
Sometimes that can be your hometown. I mean, don't knock your hometown finance companies either, ladies and gentlemen, because again, we're talking about simple interest here, not compound. You want compound when you're investing.
Exactly.
You want simple when you're borrowing.
That's it.
And
That's
it's amazing. Okay, so let me. I've got a little bit about the car business here. I'm gonna branch into that a little bit. Those of you who know me and know who my family is, if you come across this podcast, please don't shoot us. My wife was very involved in the car industry for quite a while, up until the basically the fall off in 2009 and 2010. And so I very quickly learned that what you see at the car dealership on the paper is not what came across the desk. Because what came across the desk may be like, oh yeah, we'll give these people a 4% or a 6%, or even, maybe you got a little dings and bings and bruises and whatever you want to call it in your credit. Okay, so we're going to do a 12% here, and then the dealership goes, okay, we're going to add 2 or 3, we're going to hold 2 or 3 points on this person. And what that literally means is they're jumping your interest rate by a couple points. They're going to hold.
That's it.
And here's the thing. You're much better off. Even if you have bad credit, terrible credit, going to the bank or the local finance before you ever go to the dealer.
100%. I say that to people all the time. It's just like walking onto the dealership with cash in your pocket. Your negotiating power stays intact. Your terms are already solidified. You don't even need to talk to their finance department or their finance person. It's one of those things that it's called smart shopping and knowing how to invest your money accurately.
But what about this one though, Miss Susie? Oh, but my friend works at the dealer and they're going to get me a good deal.
I've only had that happen to me once in my life, and it was the owner of the dealership who helped me with getting the good deal.
It does happen. Let me give you, for instance, I want to jump in here on that. She's talking about, yes, we're agreeing here, go to the bank first. But you can also go to the dealer with your thing from the bank and say, like my son did, and say, oh, you want me to buy it from you? Okay, here's what I've already been offered. Beat it.
Exactly.
Now, my son, his last car, ended up going with the Mazda dealership. They're in High Point, North Carolina. He ended up going with their deal over the bank because they beat it by 3 points.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome. And that works that way too. I mean, I just, when you're empowered and you go in, not just letting them rule the transaction, but you're empowered when you're going in with your financing in tow. You're not paying cash, but you are already locked in as if you were. And when you have a trade-in, you now have all the negotiating power. And so, I mean, that's something. So yeah, when I'm looking at someone's credit report, I will say, okay, let's look at this. That's the first thing that we're going to do is refinance this auto loan. Why pay? And I'll break out the payment for them and show them their new auto payment with a reasonable auto loan interest rate. And then I'm like, now here's $400. This $400 can now go towards your house purchase. It's not something that needs to stay as interest to a company because that's where you bought your first car or even your third car because you only repeat what you know. You know what I mean? The other thing that I'll look at is credit cards or even like, financial accounts that, they're paying higher interest for these accounts when, again, they can go to a local credit union, still get an unsecured loan at a fixed interest rate at a much cheaper interest rate than what they're paying. And it doesn't even need to be tied to anything. Or if they have an auto that's paid off already, we can do an auto loan, cash out on your auto loan to pay off some of these higher interest rate things.
Yeah.
It's like we're restructuring their entire credit
That's
just to be able to set
exactly-
them up to be able to purchase their home. So
that's
sometimes-
exactly what we're talking about here. And just to bring up another thing where you said, now we've got you $400. Okay, so let me ask you this, Miss Susie. What is the average, and I'm only asking this because I kind of know the answer to it. What is the length of time when somebody starts looking for a home? Average years, folks. We're going to do average years. We're not going to do the the whole pandemic buying thing. But average years, what's the average time of when somebody starts looking for a home, applying for a loan, and then they actually buy it? What is the length of time on that?
To be honest with you, it just really depends. I mean, most times by the time that they come to me, we're under contract and can close within 3 weeks. So, and then there's other times where, like, I might go and host like a home ownership workshop or something like that, where people are clueless, and then that can take a couple of years. Or I can, and we prepare because we're setting forth a plan to purchase this home. What do we need to do now in order to fix our credit, to pay down our debt? What kind of a plan do we need to come up with so we can afford to purchase a home? There are actually smart, savvy consumers out there that say, maybe I should do this. You know what I'm saying? Or other times it's just like people will come. I used to get a lot of this from like Zillow leads or whatever. I don't believe in that. So I just think relationships create so much stronger businesses. So it's not anything that I've ever done, but I have worked with realtors who have. And when I would get these leads, it was like every single time people with the worst credit, that it was like, well, what can I do? I can't really do anything with this right now, but I can pour into these people and say, I'm sorry, I can't help you right now, but if you're willing to learn something new and to try something different, I will help you to get there. For me in particular, the longest person that I ever had that worked on a plan that I put forth for them was 2 years. And she had been sick with cancer, unfortunately, and had a lot of medical debt. And when I first pulled her credit, it was really low. And by the time that we worked together to get everything paid off, settle things, having accounts deleted because she paid them off, we worked together. She wasn't alone in this. And it was just one of those things that, to see her purchase her first home, she had a goal in mind, and she just didn't know how she was going to get there.
Right.
And now
What she wants to do.
we're here for. You know what I mean? And most people don't even know. Even like, I know it's funny, I talk about Eric a lot here. It seems, but it's when I never realized that this was a real issue or a problem until he started college. See, Eric had worked for me since he was 15 years old. So Eric was brought up with this. We homeschooled. Eric was schooled in this. Do you know what I'm saying? It was one of those things that he learned from a very young age. Even when all my kids, they had checking accounts, they had savings accounts, they learned how to budget, they learned how to tithe. Those were things that we have to put into practice with our kids today.
Right now.
They can learn how to do that and be self-sufficient adults, you know what I mean? And learning about the things that they're needing to face in this world.
Day one, folks. If you're a grandparent, you can do this. My grandparents did it with me. Day one, parent, grandparent, give a kid 2 nickels. Give a kid 2 nickels. This is what my grandparents always did with me. Every time I came to visit them, they would give me 2 nickels. I had a bank at their house. I was supposed to, and I was taught to go put the 1 nickel in the bank and the other nickel in my pocket.
Really?
So she's talking about Eric grew up around saving. He grew up around tithing. He grew up around investing for his future. My son, I came up hard knocks. Now, I did learn that, but there's the thing. I mean, my son now feels like if he doesn't have $10,000 just sitting in a savings account, he's 23 and he's something wrong with him. Something's wrong. He will work overtime to get it back up there. He's bought his own house. He's taken the things that you and I are talking about. He's ingested those, and he's starting off better. So that's part of the reason we like working with younger crowd. Not that we don't like working with the older crowd too, but the older crowd, again, there's things called legacy that we're doing with them.
That's right.
With the younger crowd, we're trying to help them. And if you're grandparents and you're watching this, help your grandkids learn. Nobody else is going to teach them. They teach none of this in school anymore.
But again, as I said, even your parents are only teaching you what they learned.
Right.
And they're only teaching you what they learned. And they're only teaching what they learned. So if your family lineage, or you weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth and you have no concept of these things, where are you going to learn this from except from, like you said, the school of hard knocks? Now we've all been there. I'm not saying that
Well, that's probably the reason you're doing this podcast here is
100% is because I've never done everything right. I still even today have issues with things. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's transparency, it's honesty, it's saying I'm right there with you. These,
like I said, my wife was heavily invested in the not. Once my wife made her way, I hate to say it, folks. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Bless her heart. If she sees this, she'll say, "Mm-hmm." But I got kind of lazy in my work because my wife started working in the car business, and she did very well. She became a director over multiple dealerships at one point in time, and just everything was coming up roses for us.
wow.
And I was just like, we were living it up. I mean, we were young and lost all of our sense of financial stuff. And all of a sudden, Thanksgiving 2009, I had to go pick her up because she was driving one of their cars and they were shutting down.
Oh wow.
And all of a sudden, we went from our person that was making a six-figure income to me, who was literally, if I made $25,000 in a year, I was good. So, I mean, yeah. So a lot of what Miss Susie and I are talking about right now, debt planning. Oh my gosh, we had bought cars just because we could.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a big Dodge truck just because that's what every young guy, and a big diesel. I didn't farm. What did I need with a diesel? But I had one just because we could. $800 a month truck payment. That was just on the truck.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of what we're talking about here is debt, looking at everything debt wise, restructuring debt. She's talking about cars. You can refinance a car, believe it or not.
Believe it or not, some people don't even think you can refinance a home. I literally talked to somebody literally that bought their house. He's on year 27 in an adjustable, or not year 27, year 17 in an adjustable rate mortgage.
In an arm?
Yes. And I'm like, you haven't refinanced this yet? And he's like, well, why would I refinance it? It's not paid off. It's a 30-year note.
Folks, this is why you need to learn people like your loan originators. You need to. Everybody's like, oh, I know a real estate agent. I'm going to tell you, folks, I know three to five real estate agents I can name right now, but I can only name 2 loan originators. And I'm going to tell you something. Real estate agents are great people. Love them to death. That's how you buy, sell homes. But the true way to learn about what's going on and what's going to happen to you is to get with somebody like Susie here, who can talk to you about the actual nuts and bolts. And then guess what? I hate to say it, but if you're like, I'm like Joel on this. See, at my house, I don't, believe it or not, I don't run the checkbook. My wife's an accountant. She takes care of all that. I had no idea about our all the bills and stuff. But when it comes to all the insurances, all the investments, all the financing, and all that, that's me. So the key there is, if you don't quite understand what, like Susie's telling you, hey, you can talk to somebody like me, a financial advisor, and say, hey, look, what are we doing here? What is this, And there's ways too. They're getting back to the question I was talking about before. The average time span is usually used to be like 6 to 8 months. There are things, you believe it or not, people don't think you can do anything. Like, okay, you helped me save that $400. It's going to build up now in the bank account. Folks, there are safe investments we can put your money in that you can make more than 0.25% on.
Absolutely.
Because one of the things that you and I have talked about when we've spoken is people's down payments now.
Yes.
You go in there like, what do you mean I can't finance 130% of my home? Folks, those days, they may come back, but right now, I don't see it on the horizon. How about you? Do you see?
Obviously, I've been in this for 30 years and I'd never seen, the only one time I've seen something of that nature, and that was during 2008-9 in the recession area, and they came up with HARP 1.
Mm-hmm.
And HARP 1, we could never help anybody because the loan to values were blown out. So then they revised it and came up with HARP 2. And I recall refinancing somebody, and the highest one I had ever done was over 200% loan to value. That's scary.
See, let me just reshift here. My leg's going to sleep. Folks, that's real scary to me as a DFP. And she just said it's scary. Here's the reason why. Do you know what you've done? You have killed the equity in your home for so long.
Yeah.
Like you you have financed future equity out of your reversed finance, because basically what you've done is you have lost it for yourself and given it to the bank.
Well, pretty much. And I mean, honestly, what has happened from that point is that when the foreclosures came up, and that's what happened with the market, is that people were losing the homes because the loans were, I mean, it was just a really bad.
Oh, interest only loans. Oh my gosh, I had friends who were
I
on
could tell
those.
you one worse on that one. It was the option arm loans that
Oh my god.
the loans back then for the option arm. I remember there was this gentleman. He had epilepsy, so he didn't drive. And Carlos, he was such a sweet man, but he would come to my home and he would bring families that unfortunately were put into option arm loans, and they were qualified on that less than 1% payment. And they were able to move forward and purchase that home. And now those are being called and they were changing. And now these people couldn't qualify. They were being foreclosed upon.
Losing their homes?
Oh, it was awful. I mean, I remember, he would bring them, we'd be in our pajamas. I mean, it would be like 7, 8 o'clock at night, and he would just show up on my doorstep and just say, "Can you help my friends?" I mean, he knew where to bring people for help, but in most cases I couldn't help them because it was, they didn't even qualify to buy this house to begin with. And so I can't fix something that never should have happened. Number one. Number two, it was, it was falsified information, unfortunately, one of the agents that helped a lot of these agents, she's probably still in jail right now for some of the things that she had done. And it was like, oh, wow. I mean, and it broke my heart. And so it was just little things over the years that changed and evolved why I do the things that I do. And it really wasn't until I moved here that it became a mission for me. This is where God uses me best. And I pray about everybody that I help. I seek godly counsel and wisdom on every person that crosses my desk, because I'm not the person who knows everything, but I know someone who does.
Me too.
And,
Amen.
And the thing of it is that I bring God into everyone's transactions, because it's like people. It's where sometimes it's the only source of hope that people even have. It's where I've just seen the Lord work in people's lives so much that it blesses me. It overflows me with joy just to see how he works in their life, in their obedience. And I often say sometimes someone somewhere in this transaction needed to learn something, especially when the transactions were troublesome. I mean, it was either something happened somewhere. I mean, I've even had where a mom just going into her home, if it didn't get delayed in the closing because of her daughter getting deathly ill and having to, as a single mom, not work for 3 weeks, she may not have been able to keep her home. But because of the Lord's provision over her life, we closed 3 weeks late.
And it helped. It made all the difference.
I mean, that was the difference that God made in that transaction. And it was just one of those beautiful things that, again, when you sit back and you look, you see him.
Oh yeah, you do.
Lives, and it just blows my mind.
You do, and you see so much, because let's talk. Here, folks. Here's the thing. So right now, I read a report. I was talking to Miss Suzi about it a little bit ago. I read a report. One of the reports came out on home buying. 97% of Gen Z right now is predicted to never purchase a home. And part of it is what we're talking about. You need God in it.
Number one.
Because we're starting to trust and lean a lot on our own understanding, and we do that especially when we're younger and we make mistakes. I just talked about some of the ones we made.
Yes.
And the debt is incredible. Then you see God smile through in certain areas and make it so that you can, and things can work. The idea too, though, is having a group of godly people around you who are going, "Whoa, this and this, wait, pause, because as you're listening to God, they're listening to God too.
That's right.
And just like she was talking about, the 3 weeks, God just made it happen so that it worked out. I don't. Well, I was telling Susan, one of my crazy things that I have is I want to work with. I do want to work with younger people, and part of the reason I do is because, and now that's not my main segment. I want it to be a main segment in my franchise and my Thrivent office, because I look at my kids and I look at the kids around and I go, gosh, I mean, what is this? It starts, I think, a Thune or something like that, where you can finance your DoorDash. Have you heard of that? And I'm like, are you kidding me? And it's like, I looked it
I
up.
don't even know how to DoorDash. Okay.
It's like 17.9%.
Wow.
And they're positioned in college towns a whole lot.
Of course they
Why? Because folks, they want to take advantage of the 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds who we've already proven brains aren't completely built yet. And you're just like, I just want to get some DoorDash. Sure, I don't have the cash right now. My friends are doing it. I'll do it. And you're financing your pizza or your Taco Bell, never knowing that 5 years from now, that one thing may have grown so large that it may keep you from getting the house or the car or
I
what.
shouldn't even know that. I mean, the thing. Yeah, I was like, what? Honestly. I mean, but it makes sense though, because even when we were younger, when I first started out and everything, it was credit card companies that would.
Oh yeah, they still do that. Those,
I know that, but they're predatory on college kids. Do you know what I'm saying? And you get most people, like if people come to me in their late 20s, early 30s, just starting out on their family, we're ready to buy a home. We've screwed up on our credit so badly. Can you help us? Yes, I can help you, but you have to be willing to want to do this. This is going to be hard.
it's gonna be a process.
It's a process, but we can get there. And the thing of it is like I never even realized that this was a thing. Like I was saying earlier, when Eric went to college, because of him working with me, within the first 4 months of him going to school, I would get random conversations of, Mom, what do you need to open up a checking account? Is this kind of credit card that is good? What kind of a savings account would you suggest for this? I mean, just random. And I'm like, why are you asking me these kinds of questions? What are you doing? You know what I mean? And because normally we talked about stuff like that. And I'm thinking, this is odd. Where now is all this coming from? And he became the resident dorm person. He literally opened up checking accounts for his college students' friends. He literally helped them to understand there were kids that had paychecks just collecting on their desk because they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't even know to cash the paycheck, to turn it in, to make it real usable money. I mean, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
And I thought, is this even real? Because that wasn't my experience. My parents taught us, you know what I mean? We had savings accounts growing up as kids. My mom worked at a bank. We were given money for Christmas. We had to put half away, like you said, with the 2 nickels. We could spend some on what we wanted. I mean, honestly, to the point, it was almost when I got my first paycheck, I felt controlled that I just wanted to spend on my first paycheck.
Can I blow my paycheck? No, you can't.
Yeah, well,
But
I
I'm
mean,
the one that worked for it.
but I did. And that was the point. I mean, that's how regimented we were, that it was like my first, I can have $250 and I get to choose what to do with it. And literally, because of being that way, that it was like, wow. So then when it came to my kids, it needed to be a mesh of both worlds. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was like one of those things. I even remember when my youngest daughter's husband, my middle daughter, she always had it on point. She's always been a saver. She's always been someone who thrived.
Okay.
Literally, when she got her first paycheck, she had already tallied up what her gross was, right? And we were in the car driving home, and she's like, who is this FICA that took all this money? She's like, who's this person? And I'm like, well. And she was so bent out of shape. And she's like, they can just take it like that? And So what she was expecting and what she got was, you know what I
Two
mean?
different things.
But the thing of it was, is I never had to worry about her and finances and money. She always had a good head on her shoulders that way. And then my youngest daughter, she was kind of a mix between the two. And but when her husband had come to ask for her hand in marriage, it was one of those things that Justin and I sat down with him, you know, before we even went into this or anything, because how is this going to work? You know, you guys are just straight out of high school. How is your plan financially? What is your plan? How are you going to afford to care for your wife? You know what I mean? And provide for your wife. And so we asked him to put together a budget. My husband was more concerned with him tithing because that's something that we had taught our daughter to do. Now, is he doing that? Is that something that we're going to release our daughter to?
Are you trusting? I think that's huge.
You know, and is this a household that you're now going to create together, that you're a tithing household? And so my husband wanted to see his bank statements and his tithe checks, you know, and so he didn't care as much about the income or the bills that he paid. He wanted to make sure his priorities were correct. And so that was one of those things that, you know, we made sure that we talked about. Now, being that my youngest daughter also worked for me, she knew these things. So one of the stipulations is that she could not help him. She could not be part of putting this budget together. And I would know whether or not she did help him. And
Lord, that's tough, because I can tell you right now, when I graduated at 17, 18 years old, I didn't think I could have put together a budget to save my life.
you know what?
Might have been with crayon.
He did an amazing job. But the point is that he was short. You know what I mean? And at this time, you know, they lived at home, each of them. And so then I said, this is great. You did a great job starting out. Now you need to go find an apartment and you need to find out how much the rent is. You need to ask them, what are the average utilities here? What utilities do we need to pay here? What is renter's insurance? So now these are all.
Did you hear that question? I know I'm interrupting here, folks, but I want to point out a question here. She said, go ask, what is the average utilities? I only hone in on that because that's one of the big mistakes I made coming along around this age. Was, oh yeah, we could afford this apartment, but then we're cold because we can't afford the utility payment. You know, can't have any heat because it was gas bill. Can't afford Piedmont natural gas.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
No, I mean, but these are good questions.
They
You know
are.
what I'm saying? And
They are.
if it is that now when he did all that, he was really in the hole. Do you know what I mean? But it was, and then I'm like, okay, well now what are you going to do for income? And you know, one of the smartest things that I had, you know, when we had looked at everything and we had talked with him about this, one of the things that we had shared with him is, look, God is always first with your first fruits. The first 10% goes to God in your budget every time, because then he will make a way for the rest if you do
He really will.
correctly. Secondly, if you get in the habit of putting the next 10% away for you, so now you're paying God first, you're paying yourselves second, and putting that nest egg away. And if you get into that habit and then do your budget accordingly and, you know, spend accordingly from there, you will be set for the rest of your life if you start with that mentality. And, you know, for me, that was a real mom moment. And that was one of the proudest moments that I got to do with my husband for our daughter, for our future son-in-law, and was just able to now take where we struggled personally, what we were brought into personally, what we were raised with, and really make it like the perfect setup for them to start out successfully. And, you know, they now own their own home. They're, like you said, your son, 23 years old, 22 years old, you know, they're doing life currently, you know, and not maybe in every avenue, but at least they're doing the things that they're being set up financially for success.
Well, you look at that age group and talking about, and it was on realtor.com with that article. Realtor.com has a lot of articles. I like to visit their site, folks, because they don't just write a bunch of stuff. They do, but they also have links to other things and other stuff like that. And looking at that and going, wait a minute. So I know some of the Gen Zers, older Gen Zers, we'll say, because they're the ones who are 25 right now and less. You know, the oldest Gen Zs are around 25, 26 years old. But, you know, to read that they're saying that 97% are never going to own a home if they can, you know, the way everything continues. And then to go, so wait a minute, and to hear that your kids, you got kids that own homes and that kind of thing. Here's the thing: we want to teach the same thing. She and I both. No, we don't. I'm a guest on her podcast, but the stuff that I do every day in my office and the things that she does every day in her office is all about trying to make sure that people get to reach their goals, but do it the right way.
Not only that, how do you identify your goals?
Some people are like, I just want.
They don't even know what that means.
They asked me what I wanted in my first home. I got asked this question once. What do you want in your first home? I don't know. A couple bedrooms, kitchen. I mean, that was my ideal first home. I don't know, a couple bedrooms, a kitchen.
That's changed today.
Oh yeah, when I bought my second home, I want a workshop. I want a bedroom on the first floor. I had this whole list of things that I was like, this is what I want.
But not what I'm saying that's changed today is that you have your young 20s, 25.
Oh yeah,
18.
they know much more what they want.
They do know more what they want, but the thing of it is they're basing that expectation on what their parents have.
That brings us back to our starter. And again, it depends on the person. Get asked that question: should I buy a starter home or should I buy my? Yeah, again, it depends, and we're talking a lot about debt here, folks, because the old adage is coming absolutely true this day and time. It is not how much money you make, it is how much money you keep.
That's that.
Your lifestyle, not just when we think of lifestyle, we think of, driving fancy cars, going on vacation. No, folks, you need to reiterate to yourself that first part of your lifestyle is how your body is. You can never get back your health. So your lifestyle, you know what the number one thing my wife and I know I don't necessarily look like it, but the one thing we changed years ago was a lot of how we eat. We made our first priority our grocery bill.
Okay.
So after tithes.
Yes.
After tithes, our first priority is our grocery bill, how that structures, how that lays out, what that is interesting enough. Believe it or not, folks, the cheapest way you will eat is in one particular corner in two different particular corners of a grocery store. The cheapest, and everybody says, oh, it's so expensive to eat healthier. It's not really. If you concentrate and look at, again, debt managing even down to what, and I'm a very analytical person, but debt managing even down to what you buy to eat. Rather than going out to eat all the time, I know it sounds so cliche, you can go make the same things at home and make them a whole lot healthier. We make our own barbecue sauce. We make so many different things, our own condiments, stuff like that, because it doesn't have all the junk in it. And we can actually make it cheaper than what they sell it for at the store. And staying in the dairy and meat and the produce corners, you can actually eat cheaper. I mean, our grocery bill right now for a family of three, this shocks my family to death. They're like, how do you do this? But my wife manages to be between $150 and $200 a week for the family of three.
Wow.
And that's incredible right here in this time, day and age. Because I hear the average, when I sit down with folks, I'm like, why is your average grocery bill $600 a week? I mean,
I don't think I've ever had, that might be a month.
That's crazy to me. I mean, and I'm just like, okay, or you're spending $400 or $500, I mean, you can put yourself in, and a lot of people then go and use credit cards.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that one.
I mean, well, here's the thing. Credit cards are a tool. So Thrivent, a big thing with Thrivent is we believe money is a tool. Money is not the be-all, end-all. You are the be-all, end-all. At Thrivent, we value human. We value your life. We value who you are and your person. Money does not define you at Thrivent. Money is a tool to use for who you are. In other words, if you want to travel a lot, and maybe instead of, it sounds crazy, but I've talked to a couple of maybe they wanted to, I said, one of the big things to reach your goal I would suggest is to actually liquidate your home, sell it, reinvest in a good, solid RV, Class A. Your kids, this is one of my older couples, they have kids in Phoenix, they have kids in Vegas, and they have kids in Kansas. So they have three, that's where they're, and I said, you're here, you're already flying a tremendous amount out there to those different places. You also love traveling, so you're flying out there and you're also taking vacations. Literally over the last 3 years, they've been in their home literally less than 3 months.
Oh, wow.
I said, why are you still upkeeping the home? And see, that's another part of debt management people don't think of.
No.
So get rid of the home. Let's get an RV, Class A. And instead of flying, let's drive out there, plan your stops, stop along the way. You can swing around you can actually, if you wanted to, swing by all three of them. I mean,
my husband made the biggest mistake of finding an RV trip. We were going to be flying out west, and I booked our tickets, the whole 9 yards. And then he says, have you ever wanted to drive cross country in an RV? And I'm like, yeah, like that. He's like the internet guru, finds all these deals, all these things. And so he finds from like zoology or something like that, we could have relocated an RV from where was it? Elkhart, Indiana to San Francisco, California. And I'm like, yeah, I've always wanted to do that. You know what I mean? And so we signed up and we did everything, and we had to drive it. And so all they did, neither one of us had ever done anything like that before. And the only thing that they had you to prepare you for this was to sit in a hotel room, like conference center, for an hour and watch a video on this RV. That's how you got your education on driving an RV, right? So we go to pick it up, and we had requested the smallest, which was a 24-foot.
Let me guess how this worked out.
Oh. So we get there, we put on our stuff in this 24-foot RV. I canceled our flights. I did everything. I'd never been to Chicago before, so we flew to Chicago a couple days early to spend time in Chicago, then went to this meeting at the Chicago Airport Hotel, and then took our rental car to Elkhart, Indiana, and now pick up our 24-foot RV. We're in it. They've showed us all the bells and whistles, showed us how to turn everything on and off. They could not get the generator working. So they said, well, we can't send you out with the generator that doesn't work. And I said, well, what's the generator for? And they're like, well, if you don't have power or you have this. And I said, well, we're gonna be driving and staying overnight in like Walmart parking lots or whatever, you know what I mean? But then we plan to camp for a week in Colorado, so we'll be fine. We're going to have power. So why would we need a generator, right? I will be fine. Well, we can't send you out that way. They put us in a 32-foot RV. And I thought, oh my word. And
I guess you were riding like this.
oh, no. I told Justin, I'm not driving this at all. And he goes, what? And I said, oh no, you are going to have to drive I know for a fact I not to do this. So then we finally hit Kansas, and it's just straight stretch of road. It's like, Suzi, you've got this. What could happen? What could go wrong? It's straight, And I'm like,
yeah, even the turns in Kansas were 90 degrees.
and so
Don't shoot me here with Kansas, look free.
And so he's telling me, he says, you're going to be fine. And so then now I'm preparing myself mentally to drive this 32-foot monstrosity, right? And he says to me, okay, now the only thing that's difficult is when a tractor trailer truck comes next to you. You need to kind of steer into it a little bit. What? And then I'm like, my God. And so I just laugh at this because he took a picture of me. I was sitting up and I had my hat on and my thing, and I was just like 10 and 2 the whole time, and I'm just like
stiff,
focused and
elbows stiff as a rock,
completely stiff driving this thing. Oh my heavens. It was. But then after I did it, I was like, and then if a tractor trailer came beside me, I was like, oh my God, please don't. I mean, I'm just
petrified.
I'm praying, and I'm like, Lord, please don't let me go into that. Please, Lord, I have to go into it just a little bit, but please just keep me straight on my side. And I mean, he's like, open your eyes, I am opening my eyes. I mean, It was a riot. And
So
then
would you do it again?
oh my God, I would do it again in a heartbeat. I loved it. Well, because then it became then it was like after I had done it, then it was like fear no more. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? I was bold and I could do this and it was great. So our last stop, he didn't sleep well the night before. And so now we're going from Reno, Nevada into Northern California. And I have to like go through the past the mountains, the Sierra Nevadas, the whole 9 yards and everything. I've never driven in snow before, a vehicle, let alone a
32
32
foot
foot motor.
Class A motorhome.
And so now Justin's sleeping on the queen bed in the back and I'm sitting, oh my word, this is just, I mean, now I'm starting to get nervous again because I'm in city streets. I'm having to do stop signs, I mean, oh wow. Yeah, so the Kansas drive, my first one, and then the last day driving was so stressful because I was like, I just can't do that. I mean, it was, we made it and we didn't have any accidents and it was all great.
It was a lot of fun, and you said you'd do it again.
I had a blast. I mean,
See?
I'd even told Justin, see, like now your folks, I tell Justin all the time, I swear we should rent our house and just go RVing for the
Well,
next
yeah,
2
you
years.
could do that.
And
See, that's another thing, folks. Here's the thing, debt, and I think we can sum it up here. Probably getting ready. I mean, we don't want to talk you guys to death, but here's the thing. She and I both are kindred spirits in the fact that yes, and I don't want to just look at the camera and say debt bad, because it's not.
no,
Unmanaged debt
is bad.
is bad. Manageable debt, managed debt. Here's the thing. Let me ask you folks something. When you know a loan officer, loan originator, here's the thing. You can get so much more information. You can get so much more in depth in what you need to know. A lot of people say, I can't afford a financial advisor. Folks, I can tell you almost certainly this day and time, go shop around. You almost can't afford not to have one because a big part of it is debt management.
Yeah.
A big part of it is debt management. If you want to be, and I see them all the time, and I love you bringing up your daughter and that kind of thing, because here's the thing, I see it all the time. I sit down with couples, and the first thing I ask them is, which one of you is the spender and which one of you is the saver? Because it's amazing in my marriage. My wife says I'm the spender. I don't think so, but anyway, she's the one with all the Amazon packages showing up. But nah, I probably am the spender because I have motorcycles and stuff like that, and so I spend a whole lot more money than she does. But here's the thing: it's a lot of friction between the two. Get a financial advisor. Meet loan originators. Learn who's helping you manage and look at your debt and originate your debt so that you can know about interest rates and stuff like that. Because guess what's going to happen? The saver is going to be more relaxed. The spender is going to have, the biggest thing I always tell people is, okay, we're going to look at your budget. The first thing I want to know is how much money are we putting for a fund? What? That's not just going to budget. Yes, it does, because if we don't put in the budget, the spender in the family is going to go nuts. And then the saver is going to be like, oh, yes, I got all the purses clamped down tight. It doesn't work. And you end up busting your budget, and then you're like, I'm done. So debt is not bad. Unmanaged debt is terrible. And I think that's a lot of what we've said here and talked about
Very much so,
today.
actually.
I mean, and I spent many years with unmanaged debt. It was funny. First 3 years I worked in life insurance, folks. Don't be like Joel. I sold life insurance for 3 years before I ever bought life insurance. Now, part of that was because I felt like I couldn't afford it.
Yeah. Sometimes you can afford not to. I mean, that's one of the things I actually do talk with, especially families when in their mortgage. It's even something, because I mean, believe it or not, you're going to get a postcard once you close anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Mortgage insurance covers you. It's basically just term life insurance that covers your mortgage in case something happens. But the reality is that I would much rather factor that into their payment. And look at this. So now you have mom and dad, you have a couple of kids. What if something happens? Mom stays home with the kids now, and dad is the financial provider. He goes out and brings home the bacon, but the fact then something happens to dad. not only have you lost dad, now
You lose the home.
and it's like that can be so prevented for such a small amount of money.
Oh, it's not even that, folks. I mean, there's so many ways you can structure it. Everybody goes, oh, so somebody's got to die. No, we can. There's a ton of different ways. If you don't, get a financial advisor, get with your loan originators, get with your accountant. Start asking questions, because
That's it.
the big thing is ask questions, because it can be structured multiple different ways, so that, part of mine is structured because, again, that's part of what I do. So I've structured part of mine because the worst thing that can happen to me, folks, right now, the worst thing that can happen to me in my personal life is if I went down on my motorcycle and became disabled.
Yeah.
Not that I die, because I've got that taken care of. The worst thing that happened to me is I go down and I get disabled. So what did I do? I repositioned my life insurance with that type of stuff, so that in case I go down, I'm hurt, I'm out of work for 5 or 6 months, I've got disability to kick in, I've reproportioned or reappropriated dollars to do all that stuff. And
It's almost kind of like giving you a security or a peace of mind.
It does.
That you can live your life and do the things that you would do. I mean, like, there's this hang glider that keeps flying over my house, and I just watch him and I'm like, oh, that is so cool. I want to do that. And my husband's like, you are nuts. What are you going to do up there in that? I don't know, but I just think it would be amazing.
I walked in at 39 years of age and I said, I've always wanted a motorcycle. I want a motorcycle. I'm getting a motorcycle. And my wife, for the first time in our married life together, she looked at me when I mentioned a motorcycle and she said, okay, can we do 2 things? I said, what? She said, make sure that your family's taken care of in case something happens to you. She said, and then please go take the college course to learn how to drive one, so that I feel safer with you. And so I did, and I'm glad I did. I didn't just go jump on one and drive away. I went and took the course. I'm actually going to take some advanced courses.
Hotel room version.
No,
Or the hotel conference room
no.
version of how
I
to
went and got on and went to community college, took the course. It was like 5 days. I recommend it over I drive a Harley, so you guys can kid me all you want, but I recommend the one at the community college by I forget what it's called, MCC or something, over the one at the Harley dealerships. I recommend it wholeheartedly. I actually got taught by a retired motorcycle policeman who was awesome. That's the kind of guys you get when you go to community college, and it's helped me tremendously. Not that I ain't laid my bike down, I have. Not that I ain't had a wreck, I have. But the point is, I began working with several people. I love the real estate agents I work with. I love loan originators more than real estate people.
No, that's where we started. Our very first podcast here was talking about the order of how you should do things. Even when I do my homeownership workshops, it always starts with me, because you should always start with me. You know what I mean? Your realtor is great, but if you don't have a game plan, and if the house is the first thing that you see, and you ever hear that phrase, champagne tastes on a big budget?
Super cute. That's what I call it. Super cute.
Yep.
I bought my house. It was super cute.
Well, the thing of it is that, you get that, if that's what you see first, that's where you're stuck. But if you can, my clients know, before you even go house shopping, send me the houses that you're looking to look at. I will give you payments for those houses before you even cross the threshold, so that you can go in knowing what you're going to walk into this house financially for before you ever are emotionally attached to it. And that's one of the wisest things. And, I say all the time that
She's talking preventative right now, folks. Preventative debt management. That's what she's talking about.
Well,
and that's the truth. If you have a financial advisor, if you don't, I'm here in North Carolina, would love to work with you. If you do have one, get that financial, anytime you're buying something, get the financial advisor on the phone with your loan originator. If you're, real estate agents are awesome. They've got a certain job to do. But the financial advisor needs to talk to the loan originator. Your planner needs to talk to the loan originator. If you've got an accountant, Get your financial advisor and your loan originator together with the three of them. It's not like they're shutting you out, folks, but what it is they're gonna look at it and go, okay, and your financial advisor being a fiduciary is gonna look at you and say, or, like what's the gum commercials? The one where they smile and it tings on their teeth. Maybe Ashley can do that.
Red.
I don't know. It's like they smile and ting, But we could talk to you for hours about managing debt and structuring debt.
Well, that's one of the first things that you need to have that to be successful. And the thing of it is that it just always seems that I've lived a life of hard knocks, and it's my experiences.
You don't want other people to go through the same thing.
Do not want other people to go through what I've gone through, and that is the total truth of the matter, is that if I can share my experiences and if I can make it even an ounce different for you, I'm so stuck on it that if you work with me and yet you don't participate and you don't get anything from gleaning information from this transaction, I won't even work with you. If you just expect me to carry the weight for every bit of your transaction for you and make the decisions for you, and I'm not your loan officer.
That won't work.
Because I need for you to learn something from this process, because I may not always be here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I need for you to be knowledgeable for the next purchase you make. I will be here if you want to buy a car, you want to understand something different, you want to understand those things. I'm here to help people with those types of things, because that's what I do at the onset of their interview with me, is we look at, what is your life like now? What is your life going to be like?
Mm-hmm.
And we ask the difficult questions. And it's just one of those things that, like I said, God has allowed me to just be this breath of fresh air for people. And so I can be a breath of fresh air to myself too. And, like I said, I may not always have it worked out. And, I even struggle from time to time. For crying out loud, I work on commission only. So sometimes it's not guaranteed.
You want to build your faith, folks, work on commission only.
And I mean, but the thing of it is that God has never let me down. He has always provided, and he's always made a way. And I have a roof over my head. I have shoes on my feet, and I have food on my table, like that song, I'm so blessed. And I am beyond taken care of, because I know who provides for me.
Amen.
Joel, just to wrap up here, one thing that we do is always end with a scripture verse.
Amen.
Do you have one that you'd like to share with us today?
Everybody will say, what's your favorite verse? And I always say Joel 1:1. That's a little side joke. What it basically says is, these are the words of Joel. These are the words of God written by Joel. But no, there's so many. I don't have one that comes to mind. Right now we are in the Christmas season, so of course at church we're studying Luke chapter 1 and 2 and Matthew and all that, the first of the Gospels. But no, if you've got one
Honestly,
ready to go.
I don't, and I would like for you just to give me one. And
Let's
you
just
read it here. It's fine.
Let's just pick one. Let's just go to God and go, okay, God, let's look, maybe, I don't know. Let's look Isaiah 55. Folks, we're totally doing faith here. I didn't even know what this is going to say. Isaiah 55. Let's go like 12 to 14, somewhere right there.
Isaiah 55, 12 to 14 version.
Don't care. Let's kind of see. And I don't even know, it's kind of like Mark chapter 17, I don't even know if there is a 55 Isaiah. There's not a Mark 17.
You're saying 12 to
14.
Well, it ends on 13. So
okay, well let's go 12 and 13.
Okay. So Isaiah 55, 12 and 13. You will live in joy and peace. The mountains and hills will burst into song, and the trees of the field will clap their hands. Where once there were thorns, cypress trees will grow. Where nettles grew, myrtles will sprout up. These events bring great honor to the Lord's name. They will be an everlasting sign of his power and love.
Wow, what a verse. Just to put your faith in God with the conversation we have had, talking about all this planning and everything, and boom, there it is.
There you go.
I mean, talk about hope and faith. I mean,
I love it.
that is
so
awesome. And folks, ending on this, sometimes we're so like, I was just like, wow. And we're like, we marvel at who God really is.
Amen. I mean,
And we shouldn't. We really shouldn't, because so many times he's like, I got this. And we're like, I don't know. Do you, God?
it was on the way to work. I listened to this devotional by Shane and Shane. It's a group, and they actually decided to put together a devotional. And in this particular one this morning, it was on based off Psalm 8. And holy, 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 hallelujah, 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 that the Lord is so great in his majesty and what he's created, that, he's placed the stars, the moon, but what he thinks of man, and it just set the tone for my day today. Was just like, I can marvel in all the goodness. And as I'm driving into work, it's like I'm looking at the trees, the way the clouds are in the sky, just everything about me that he created with his fingertips,
Unique.
everything. But then I think about, but he breathed life into me, and it just was one of those things that was so incredibly special. And it's just like, wow. And then just to have this moment as well too, that it's like, wow,
It's just,
only God.
and that is the truth. Only God. Because I'm sitting here like, but wow, how fitting that scripture is. And I think we should read it one more time, just as we close out.
Absolutely.
And then we'll just say bye to everybody. But let's just read that one more time, folks. It's so uplifting.
Isaiah 55, 12 and 13. You will live in joy and peace. The mountains and hills will burst into song, and the trees of the field will clap their hands. Where once there were thorns, cypress trees will grow. Where nettles grew, myrtles will sprout up. These events will bring great honor to the Lord's name. They will be an everlasting sign of his power and love. I just love it. Well, Joel, I just wanted to thank you for being on here today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, we still have so much to talk about and learn through that. I mean, I do realize that there's a lot more that the partnership between a financial planner and a mortgage originator, when it comes to setting someone up for success, whether they're young or we even talked about reverse mortgages and annuities, things of that nature for those who
Maybe we can talk about that
more
on the
seasoned as well.
next one we'll do.
I mean, we still have a lot to cover for both of these. So, I mean, we have a lot of ground to cover. So I'm looking forward to the next episode and where we can go next for this. So again, we just want to thank Joel Austin for being here from Thrivent. And if you do have any questions or want to have, just someone take a look at things for you, we'll have Joel's contact information below in the comments, and that you'll be able to reach out to him, ask him questions, find a deeper understanding, really understand what a financial planner is and how that financial planner can best serve you. Again, we're here to serve you, and we're here to help you to grow, and again, to be great stewards of the provisions that God has blessed you with.
That's right.
This is Suzi Beaver signing out with Brick by Brick, Building Home Ownership. We look forward to seeing you. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe, and all the contact information for Joel will be in the comments down below. Any episodes, any questions that you may have, be sure to ask those questions. We'll make sure to get back to you. Until then, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.